In July 1956, the SS Andrea Doria, an Italian luxury liner, collided with the MS Stockholm off the coast of Nantucket, Massachusetts, and sank. Today, the wreck lies at a depth of 240 feet, known as the Mount Everest of diving, due to its challenging conditions. This story recounts a tragic diving accident that occurred at this infamous site in the summer of 2015. Veteran diver John Moyer, known for his extensive wreck diving experience, decided to explore the Andrea Doria. Accompanying him was his close friend Steve, also an experienced diver. They meticulously planned their dive, understanding the wreck's notorious reputation for claiming lives. Their goal was to retrieve artifacts, specifically the valuable plates from the ship's kitchen and dining hall. These plates were highly sought after because they were the hardest to find and located in the most difficult to access areas of the ship. The morning of the dive, the weather was perfect. The sea was calm and visibility was excellent. As their boat approached the wreck, they marveled at the clear blue water and the silhouette of the Andrea Doria below. They geared up, double-checked their equipment, and prepared to descend. As they descended, they were immediately struck by the eerie beauty of the wreck. The Andrea Doria lay on its starboard side, covered in marine life. The once luxurious liner was now a decaying structure, its twisted metal and debris creating an otherworldly landscape. John led the way, carefully navigating through the tangled wreckage. At around 130 feet, they reached the first-class dining room, one of the most intact and accessible parts of the wreck. The room was filled with silt, and the ambient light barely penetrated the darkness. John and Steve switched on their powerful dive lights, illuminating the ghostly remains of the dining room. The ornate decorations were still visible, a haunting reminder of the ship's former glory. Suddenly, a cloud of silt was kicked up by Steve, reducing visibility to almost zero. The once clear water became a swirling mass of sediment, disorienting the divers. John signaled to Steve to stop and regroup, emphasizing the importance of staying calm and following their training. They grabbed the guideline they had set earlier, their lifeline in the now near-total darkness. As the silt began to settle, John noticed something alarming. A section of the ceiling had collapsed, blocking their planned exit route. They were trapped in a confined space with limited visibility and a rapidly decreasing air supply. Panic started to set in, but John knew they had to remain calm and think clearly to survive. John signaled to Steve to follow him as he searched for an alternate route. The shifting wreck made navigation difficult, and every movement seemed to stir up more silt. The cold water added to the sense of urgency, as their air supplies were finite and they were deep enough to be at risk of nitrogen narcosis. After what felt like an eternity, John spotted a narrow passage that seemed to lead upwards. He signaled to Steve and cautiously led the way, hoping it would lead them to safety. The passage was tight, and they had to move slowly to avoid disturbing the fragile structure further. As they made their way through the passage, John felt a sudden rush of colder water, indicating they were nearing an open area. His heart pounded with a mix of hope and fear. Finally, they emerged into a larger, more open space, where visibility was slightly better. They had found an alternate exit route, but their ordeal was far from over. The team still had to navigate through the wreck to reach the surface. John checked his air supply and signaled for the team to begin their ascent. They moved slowly and carefully, aware that any sudden movement could dislodge more debris and create another silt cloud. During the ascent, John noticed Steve struggling with his breathing. Steve's regulator was malfunctioning, and he was using up his air supply rapidly. John knew they had to act quickly. He signaled to Steve to switch to his backup regulator and stay close. As they continued their ascent, John kept a close eye on Steve, ready to assist if needed. The journey seemed endless, but finally they reached their decompression stop, where they had to wait for their bodies to adjust to the change in pressure. The minutes ticked by slowly, but the team knew they had to be patient to avoid decompression sickness. After completing their decompression stop, the team resumed their ascent. When they finally broke the surface, they were met with the welcome sight of their support boat. Exhausted and shaken, they were pulled aboard and immediately checked by the medical team. John and Steve had survived their harrowing dive, but the experience left a lasting impression. The Andrea Doria was a stark reminder of the dangers of deep-sea diving and the importance of preparation, training, and teamwork. Despite the risks, the dive also reinforced their love and respect for the ocean and its mysteries. The following days were filled with reflection and analysis. John couldn't shake the images from the dive. The Andrea Doria, once a majestic symbol of luxury and human achievement, now lay as a grave marker for many divers who had underestimated its perilous allure. He spent hours reviewing the dive logs, trying to understand what had gone wrong and how they had been so fortunate to escape with their lives. Steve, on the other hand, struggled with a deep sense of guilt and fear. His inexperience had almost cost them their lives. He sought advice from more experienced divers and even considered giving up the sport altogether. The incident at the Andrea Doria had shaken his confidence to the core. The dive community was abuzz with their story. Many praised their composure and teamwork, while others criticized their decision to dive such a treacherous wreck without more experienced backup. The Andrea Doria had once again proven why it was considered one of the most dangerous dive sites in the world. Months later, John and Steve decided to dive again, but this time they chose a less challenging site. They knew that facing their fear was the only way to overcome it. The dive was uneventful, yet it was a significant step in their healing process. They emerged from the water, not just as divers, but as survivors who had learned to respect the ocean's immense power. Their experience at the Andrea Doria was a constant reminder of the thin line between life and death in the deep sea. It reinforced the importance of rigorous training, proper equipment, and, most importantly, respect for the unpredictable nature of the underwater world. Their tale of survival became a cautionary story shared in diving circles worldwide. It served as a powerful reminder that no matter how experienced a diver may be, the ocean always holds the upper hand. Each dive is a journey into an unpredictable environment where preparation, skill, and respect are the keys to survival. Thank you for joining me on this intense journey into the depths of the Andrea Doria. Stay tuned for more incredible stories from the deep. Until next time, stay safe and adventurous.